Welcome to episode 141 of The Endless Stream. I'm Aidan, and this week I am joined by Kevin and Brian. We are three artists, illustrators, filmmakers, and all-round shit talkers, and each week we take some of the endless stream of content brought to you through Hulu, Disney+, Spotify, YouTube, Netflix, Amazon Prime. Wherever you get your content, we take a chunk of it, we watch it, and we talk about it. This week we got all three lads back on the podcast, and we are talking streaming services, we are talking old movies on Prime. We're talking just the way Prime's catalogue is a big steaming pile of chaos. We do talk about some of the older movies on there. We talk about Poor Things. We talk about The Boy and the Heron. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast, heading over to Spotify, heading over to iTunes, rating, reviewing, liking, subscribing. All of these good things really help us out. On top of that, you can head over to Instagram at The Endless Cast, where we put up art and clips to go with each episode, and that's a great place to send us a message. Our DMs are open. Disagree with us, suggest something else for us to watch, tell us you enjoy the podcast, spread the word of The Endless Stream, we really appreciate it. Or you can send us an email at theendlesscast@gmail.com. All of that being said, let's get into the episode. Well, gentlemen, we return to The Endless Stream, because The Endless Stream is, of course, endless. Brian, I think we're wearing the same...
I mean, we never leave it.
The same
it's endless.
Top, long sleeve.
Really?
I think we might be...
Yours looks thicker.
Yours looks
more substantial.
Okay.
That's just his
maybe,
form, Brian. That's his form.
That's my form.
That's giving you that impression.
He's a thick boy.
He's a thick boy.
Bavian spent an extended period of time the day before yesterday telling me how small I seemed compared to how I used to be. I used to be a broader individual. She went and got Facebook and got a whole bunch of photos and go, look, there was more of you. You were. I don't
think that's accurate.
No, it's probably more of a self-esteem thing and how you're just carrying yourself now compared to how you used to carry yourself when you
just feel lesser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a tough one to sort of like. I think I've definitely lost some body fat, but I'm stronger than I've ever been based on the gym work that I've been doing. It's an odd one to marry as a concept. And also I did then say to her, like, you know, when you talk to somebody that goes to the gym about 6 days a week, that like they've probably got a degree of body dysmorphia anyway, and telling a gym bro he looks small for an extended period of time isn't
devastating.
Isn't good, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't listen to anybody, and you know what you're doing and you look fantastic regardless.
I've seen you shirtless and in suspenders.
Yes.
And you're huge.
So. Yes. Yeah, fuck that. You're right, Brian. Yeah. And that was like, what? Like less than 4 weeks ago.
I was like, yeah.
Literally less than 4 weeks ago, yeah. Yeah,
and yet, okay. So that's where my head's
spiraling
at.
right now.
I've got a protein shake here and several chicken breasts to see me through the morning.
And some Rogaine.
Rogaine? Is my hair going too?
I just thought I'd make it worse for you. Don't
worry, I've ordered ashwagandha, tren, Rogaine, Cialis. I've ordered all of the masculine aids.
Oh my god. Speaking of masculine aids, how are you, Brian?
2024.
I don't understand that
link. Your very presence makes us feel more masculine.
Yes.
You bring a very inspiring energy.
Masculinity. I don't know about that.
Brian has a very considered approach to masculinity as well. Like, he's not... I hope this comes across as a compliment. You are a confident, like, strong masculine figure without being broy and a dick about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have...
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. You have considered, and I see you respond and bristle to things that are broy fucking shittiness.
Oh, yes.
Brian's the big brother I never had.
We won't dig too far into...
Love you, bro.
Oh.
Aww.
I like you.
Fair. That's such a typical big brother response, isn't it? I love him so much.
He's all right, I guess. Let's see, what have I done this week? I'm just trying to give you like life updates. I have been applying to jobs like a motherfucker. I have updated my website to include my animation work, my storyboarding work, my background work, my comic book work, my
UX.
My user experience and research project work. I have put all of the things I've done slowly onto this site. Now, I am starting to go, this site does not sell me as doing a thing. This sells me as scattered and doing too many things. So I need to, I think, maybe get a second domain and separate some of the things.
Yeah.
But it's good to have the work collated, I guess. I applied for a job that is like podcast producing in London.
London, innit?
In London.
London City, mate.
It was like, you know, research, prepping hosts, editing. Like, it all seemed like, yeah, that's right in my fucking wheelhouse of things I do.
You could definitely do that.
100%. Let's go. Let's chat to people. Let's like recording on location and stuff like that. Like 100%. Let's go. So we'll see. That advertised a very rapid start, potentially from the 22nd of January, given that I haven't heard a fucking word in 4 days or 5 days since I submitted it. And 22nd of January is when they mentioned. I don't know. Maybe it's 22nd of January / ASAP. I also applied for a producer role in The Line. It listed X amount of years experience producing. Well, I spent 4 years producing animated shorts with radio. It listed a whole bunch of experience around 2D animation and things like that. And it's like, I have all of these things. I have applied. Haven't heard anything. Haven't heard anything yet. That one would be sort of mid-March, I think, was the start they advertised. I would love that job. That studio creates amazing fucking things. So that would be cool. I also have the idea, though, that they'll get some, 10-year Disney TV veteran in. But
you fit the bill, though.
All I can do is apply. Yeah, I think the upside is without the 10 years of Disney experience, what I can do is undercut salary. Those guys are 60, 70 grand a year. I would say, throw me 30 grand and I'll be good.
You should cut this bit out.
Throw me 30 grand and I'll be good, yeah. Just enough
cut
to
the
cover
salary
rent
negotiation
and
out.
pay for coca noodles.
You sound
That's not
desperate.
going to cover it.
I sound desperate. That's not going to cover it.
No, not in London.
It's like $1,000 a month on rent.
In London.
Grand.
It is cheaper than Dublin, though.
Yeah.
Still.
I'll sleep on anything, as we've learned. So that's me. I've been applying for jobs. I also did a bunch of fucking editing movies. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes. So it messaged me going.
Did you just... You didn't edit the whole film, though. You just edited, like, sequences, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like I'm going to completely from scratch re-edit this, because like I'm not getting into trying to figure out how to split like stems and bring in whole new audio tracks and whatever the fuck else and make whatever. But there are films that are in the back of my mind that I'm like, I just hate this bit. And if it wasn't there, I wouldn't have that fucking hiccup every time I get to the fucking chunk of the movie where it's like, this is a not. The specific moment in The Dark Knight Rises is the very end. We shouldn't have cut to Christian Bale and Anne Hathaway. Didn't need it. But I think it was like right after Inception. So some studio had probably said, we can't do another looking at a spinning top ending. So I've cut a version where it just ends on Michael Caine looking up from his glass and having a little smile and going to black. And it's like, that's all we need. We don't need to then cut to...
You could have turned the film off right there as well, though, because it's the end of the film. It's not like it's in the middle of the film.
Yeah, but it's more
It's
satisfying.
not like you're
to have
watching
the
and you're going,
credits
this is
happen.
great so far, and you're going, this scene is killing it for me. Like, you've made it to the end of a bad film anyway, and you got that far.
I understand that you have like strong feelings about it as a bad film. I recognize it as a flawed film for sure, but I also enjoy watching it. The other section that really fucking annoys me is when Wayne gets back to Gotham. There's a series of scenes where Commissioner Gordon gets captured and then brought to trial in front of
The film
the
has much bigger
Scarecrow.
problems than that.
100%, but I'm just trying to do the little fucking things that annoy me. He gets brought to trial in front of Scarecrow, sentenced to walk out in the ice. Miranda is there. What is her name again as an actress?
Marion.
Marion Cotillard. It is Miranda, isn't it? Raish's daughter.
No.
Anyway, okay. She's there, and Bane sort of separates her from the group, so she gets removed from the like sentence to death thing. So I guess that's trying to tell us that like there's something going on with Miranda anyway. But it's a waste of fucking time. It doesn't need to be there. And then because Bane takes her away, and then the very next shot, it's a holding pen where Bruce Wayne has been taken, and Miranda's there already, and he's trying to break Lucius out so they can get gear and stuff. And then they basically stand
God,
up,
I hate that film.
turn around. They stand up, turn around, and then Catwoman kicks the guards. But there's no separate shot between the standing up and turning around. They stand up, turn around, and it feels like the same location, but they're actually in a corridor several rooms removed, and there's no sense of time
Because it's
passing.
a bad film.
It's definitely bad editing in that moment. So I've
that
taken a
stuff
shot
is
from earlier,
all over
put
the
it in the
film.
middle.
Like that stuff is all over the film.
100%. There's definitely like shorthands and jumps.
There's this
whatever.
scene
But that-
outdoors where they're fighting, and it just makes no sense. Like the film is terrible. It's a terrible film.
Well, come back to me with
It's awful.
specific moments there, but in that one in particular, it's just like there's just like characters are in one place the moment ago and then the next place, and it just doesn't make sense. It's the most glaring in that point, and it always fucking annoys me.
Does it
You're
not
more
bother
ta-
you when Batman and Bane square off at the end and the cops are fighting the terrorists, and it's just the most fucking awful stage combat stuff with people miming in the background?
I don't see it.
And Bane talks to Batman, and he says, "Did you come back here to die?" He goes, "No, I came back here to stop you," or something. And it's just this awful, terrible, clunky moment.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother you.
It's clunky, but there's a lot of stuff that I
It's
just
beyond clunky.
I'm just
It's
not that
the-
observant, Brian, in many ways. I see the stuff that's happening in the
It's
foreground that I'm
so
supposed to be looking
terrible.
at. I'm not looking at the extras in the background just waving their arms around. 100%.
It's
Now
shot
I'm
on
now I'll
IMAX,
see
and
it.
it's so big and in your face, and they charge at each other, and the terrorists have automatic weapons, and the cops have nothing, and it's just they really just wanted to do like a Tale of Two Cities and just grafted Batman onto it and didn't care whether it worked or not, and it's just fucking woeful.
Oh yeah,
It's a horrible film.
the Dark Knight Returns stuff is like thrown in there, irregardless of whether it made sense with the last film.
Batman versus Superman is a better film than The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, easily.
I am shocked.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move swiftly along.
Christopher Nolan thinks Zack Snyder is a great director, so he can't really be offended.
I can't. He can't.
He thinks he's a great director. He thinks Watchmen came too soon. He
I
thinks. Have you heard like the heaps of praise he was giving him over Christmas? Anyway,
yeah, I don't know.
He must have seen.
I mean,
he must have seen Rebel Moon before we did.
You've upset me because The Dark Knight Rises is truly awful.
Well, speaking of truly awful, I took the Green Lantern also and did a pass on that. I took out a lot of bad expositional stuff. There's a lot of sequences with Ryan Reynolds just like being late for things, and I'm like, we don't need that. We don't need that. That was one of the things that annoyed me the most about that movie.
You better hope none of these films were edited by a woman.
Listen, if any of them were edited by women, I'm just equal opportunity.
They'd probably be better.
Critiquing. If they were all edited by women, then we learned something too. Hal Jordan was never the Ryan Reynolds type. Hal Jordan's the dutiful, focused test pilot. He's not the goofy. Like, if they wanted the goofy version of the Green Lantern, have him play Kyle Rayner, the comic book artist. But that's
The
my.
film has bigger problems than that as well.
It has huge problems. Yeah.
I never saw it.
I did watch Rebel Moon.
Martin
Kev.
Campbell
Hated it.
directed.
So
Oh
like-
yeah, you two talk about this.
Say it again, Brian.
How high were you? Be honest.
I wasn't. I watched it twice.
Were you high one of those times?
Never.
Be honest.
Just be honest for us. Also, the world we live in, Kevin.
No.
Okay.
You were toasted, right? You had to
No.
be.
No, wait.
Okay, here's the thing. You don't need to say the words in case anybody ever reads this transcript in court. No, you were not high.
No, I was not high.
You weren't high both times?
No.
Okay.
The second time was more skipping through things that I liked. But
Yeah, you weren't high both times. Okay. Brian, were
Yeah.
you not high watching it?
I was not high. Compos mentis.
Compos mentis.
I liked
Okay,
I liked it
tell
twice.
Tell us what you liked about it, Kevin. Tell us what you liked about it.
Just kind of, I just was able to like detach from reality, and
His drug-addled brain was able to follow it.
yeah.
Tell us
mostly.
tell us the characters you liked. Tell us the
Um,
points of the story you liked. Tell us the aspects of the design you liked. Character first.
Characters first. I liked
And
the
say something about their character as well.
I like the
Because
sexy Turok
I'm
man.
pretty sure they didn't have any.
Sexy Turok man.
Sexy Turok man.
Yep. I like this. The spider lady was gross and scary, but that was cool. Everything was just like cool character.
Why was she a spider lady?
I don't know, because spider ladies are scary.
No, I mean, like, well, what made her spidery?
She was a spider lady.
She was a spider. She was a spider lady.
Yeah. What the frick?
She the head of a woman, but the body of a spider.
She looked like that character from Saga in the first.
That's what I was
She wouldn't
kind of
bite you.
Is it taking the Saga character?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Saga didn't invent that.
Sure. Yeah.
But just great movie. Great movie.
No.
Fascinatingly
Characters
realized.
you liked, and what about the characters? That you
Look, I know this is complete two-dimensional garbage
I'm
movie,
but I'm asking you to make the point. We're talking about it. Just like what characters did you like specifically? You liked the spider lady. You liked
Hey,
the
Kev, tell Aiden what happens in the Turok dude scene.
Yeah, it's really great. Have you not watched this, Aiden?
No.
So it's really great. Turok dude is a slave. He's been slave for some reason. He's turned into a slave. He owes somebody something.
For some reason,
I can't
we
remember.
don't know. Yeah,
Can't remember.
He's a slave
And he's a slave, and he's paying off his debt, which will be the rest of his life. But he's doing it because he's honorable.
for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and
He's been there a while.
yeah, and he's been there for a while. He's gonna do the rest of life. He's in crazy shape. It doesn't even look real. I think Zack Snyder might have just. I'm just putting this out there. I think Zack Snyder might have just used him for his body.
Oh.
Probably.
But basically, there's this like bird horse that's wild. It's a wild animal. It's a bird horse, and it's massive. And the Turok
That the slaver has on his farm
ranch,
slave camp.
Yeah.
Ranch, whatever.
and they make a deal.
Can't tame it.
And he can't tame it. And then he makes a deal that if Turok can tame it, he'll get his freedom. And
And the thing is, we said here, they make a deal, or he made a deal. It's the three heroes who are assembling a crew, and we've no idea
it's
why
great. It's a ragtag crew.
they've come for this guy.
Yeah.
What his background is,
Yeah.
why they need him,
Yeah.
why they need a shirtless
Yeah.
slave.
who
But
caveman.
they come to this farm because they need this guy. So they make this deal where if sexy slave man can tame the dog horse,
bird
he'll
horse.
let him go free.
Yeah,
Excuse me, bird horse.
Yeah.
My apologies.
it's fine.
But if he can't tame him,
Mm-hmm.
then the three people all become his slaves.
Yeah, and it's scary because like he means it.
He means it. But why did this guy just accept, I'm a slave for life now, when he had that bargain the whole time? He's like, I'll tame that thing for you if you let me go free. It's like, no.
Because
I need you here
he's
for life.
He's a man of his word.
Like, he's important enough for him to keep for life, but not so important that if he tames the bird dog that he'd let him
Bird
go.
horse.
Bird horse. Whatever.
It's okay.
It just makes no sense.
Anyways, Aiden, he tames the bird horse, mostly with his abs. It's fantastic, and he garners his freedom. However, he didn't really tame the bird horse because the bird horse killed the guy anyways. Killed the rancher, mauled him.
So he had this move the whole time where he could have just trained this thing to kill his captor.
He didn't even have to train him.
He didn't even have to train. He didn't do it.
No, he just had to break him once. Yeah, he just had to show a display of, he's not so bad. You can basically, he forced this animal to let him ride him.
Right.
Because they even fight in the sky and they crash into mountains and stuff. And then when they land, he's just like, huzzah, that animal's been broken. But he technically really hasn't. Anyways, but Turok is fucking hot as fuck. It's cool as shit. I just love the ensemble of rogues gallery that was like, it's just like part one, collect the guys, get the gang together. It's like someone just sat there with a concept artist, draw me a cool samurai lady, draw me a cool sexy Turok man, draw me that whatever that Belfast guy was, a rogue.
That does sound like the way to go about making a movie of substance. Sitting down with a character designer and just draw me a samurai.
That's basically it. And but I'm looking forward to all the character development that he's saving for the second part.
Okay.
Aren't you, Brian?
Okay.
Aren't you, Brian?
Sure. Yeah.
Good. Can't wait to watch it
can't
together
wait.
even.
Brian, your
Oh
thoughts?
yes. Yeah.
Maybe if it's in the cinema, Brian. You can come up to me.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yep. Can't wait. I wonder if the bird horse going to come back. But
It has to, right?
yeah, I think it's like, you know, it's like that whole thing. Chekhov's gun, Chekhov's handgun, Chekhov's axe, Chekhov's bird horse. That's what it is. It's the old classic Chekhov's bird horse.
Chekhov.
What is it?
Chekhov.
Oh,
No N.
pardon?
No N.
Oh, I was actually that close. I didn't realize. I had no clue. That was a shot in the dark. Also, I like the scene in the cantina. You know the scene in the cantina in Star Wars?
Yes.
I like when Zack Snyder did it.
His one has a extra rape and sexual assault.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And I know there's a director's cut coming in the middle of the year that's going to have apparently more sexual content.
I didn't realize there was sexual content in this, but I liked that weird, creepy parasite thing.
There's a scene where there's a space farm girl about to get raped. It's horrible. And it just seems like the film is enjoying it too much.
Which
He
part
did
was
that
that,
with
Brian?
he did that with Sucker Punch as well. There's a lot of
Yeah.
I never saw Sucker
implied,
Punch.
like a lot of the hallucinations
And
were just
Watchmen.
sexual assault sequence, right?
Brian, what was
Yeah.
the rape scene you were talking about?
Sorry, just going back
In
to that.
which-
Just going back to that. Sucker Punch. Am I right? Anytime they're going into these like hallucinated action scenes, that's
Don't ask
trauma
me
and
that.
sexual assault going on.
They were
Those
dissociating from.
They're dissociating from what's going on in the mental asylum.
I've never watched it. That's horrendous.
That's what that movie is. It's fucking awful. They nearly, like, that movie came out and that's when they started going, maybe we shouldn't let this guy do Superman.
fucking hell. I've never seen it. That's horrendous.
But it's empowering for them, you see, because they're having this anime fantasy in their head while they're getting assaulted. We don't see the assault because we're watching cartoons in their head instead.
Yeah. He saw Chicago and thought, this is the way to do it. This will be fun.
It's empowering instead.
Okay, well, I'm not really looking forward to Rebel Moon 2 anymore. Whatever. Oh, it took me ruining that on me.
I had a backpack with my iPad in it and a protein shake, and the backpack fell off the table and it covered the iPad, and the iPad is mostly fine, but now it won't charge well. I think
I would not put those two things near each other ever.
Yeah, I fucked up, and it's really upsetting.
I think, I actually think it'd be fine.
It's not being fine. You can
but
see
it
me
will-
trying to
it
clear
will-
everything off this fucking.
It will dry out. It'd be grand.
He's talking about Rebel Moon 2.
Oh, okay. This is a week and a half later.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're fucked.
You're fucked.
Did you put in some rice?
No.
That's kind of your first mistake.
You need a case to put the iPad in.
It's.
now you know.
I understand these things, but
Now you know.
I'm also just in the position now where it's. Come on. Sorry, I'm having a little fucking freak out with it.
That's alright, but
You're my baby, please.
I need to get a new
live.
iPad as well, and it's annoying.
I don't need to get a new iPad. I need a cleaned port. That's it.
Hey, you know what they say about a clean port? That's a bonus.
Report a bit of a how's your father, huh?
Huh? What? Huh? Any old port of call, huh? So you are not looking forward to Rebel Moon now. Did we talk you out of it?
Maybe. Like just kind of. But I like every conversation that we have in this podcast. Maybe I'm just less enthusiastic about it now.
No. Well,
I just like the colors, the pretty characters.
I like those. I like a lot of the actors. I like Sophia Boutella. I'm always happy when she's getting work. I would like it to be less schlocky a lot of the time, but there you go. Okay, I plugged it in with a different USB cord, and now it's registering as charging. So maybe the USB's got a problem as well, or the cord. Sorry, I've completely distracted you. Fuck Zack Snyder. Let's move on. Fair to say.
Okay,
Kevin, I'm glad you saw something that you liked and you enjoyed.
thanks, Brian.
This is true.
I'm glad you have that.
Well, to be honest, not anymore. It's kind of been ruined on me.
Ah, well, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
What a shame.
I watched a documentary this week. Or are we finished?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I watched a documentary this week called Chimp Empire.
Okay, that's from a while back, isn't it?
It must be. I never watched it before.
Okay, tell us about it.
It's a 4-episode kind of limited series called Chimp Empire, and it features a community of chimps in the Ngogo Forest in Uganda, I want to say. And it's beautiful, lush, green forest, and it has one of the largest communities of chimpanzees ever, I think, recorded. And this society of chimps are 120 plus strong, I think. And it starts off just going through the hierarchy and how their society works and all that kinds of things, and all those type of things, and the different monkeys, their roles, their names, etc. You learn very early in it that monkeys aren't named by researchers until their first birthday because the survival rates.
Oh, wow.
And it focuses on essentially this. It initially focuses on this one group, this large group of chimpanzees, and then as these chimpanzees, you're learning about, like I said, the social status or the society itself, how it's run, and there's several monkeys doing what would you call it when you're doing a security check around your perimeter?
Patrol?
Yeah, patrol, exactly. They're doing a kind of territory patrol. And then you learn of another group of Ngogo chimps called the Western Ngogo chimps. Because there's essential ones and then there's the Western ones. And the Western ones were kicked out by the essential ones for territory and battles and all that kind of stuff. And you start learning about that community. The larger community has a kind of, the alpha male and then his right-hand man and then the next person. And the chimpanzees are always trying to rise up. Always, male chimpanzees are always trying to rise up. In this society, but then the smaller society, the Western society, it was kind of like there was more division between men and women. Like women would also go on patrols. Women were a part of there was less of a the women. It was like basically one was more like old, like dated and like traditional, and then the other one was seen more progressive. It's very, very interesting. But just because it was a smaller group, so they had to adapt to that way.
Liberal woke agenda.
Yes. Yep. It's just fascinating. It's it spins a very good narrative on the whole thing, but it's very, very fascinating stuff. Like they're so like us in so many ways. It's fascinating stuff. I'll take any questions. Thank you for listening.
Does it feel like we're in any danger of the chimps rising up and taking over the globe?
Yes, but we'll kill ourselves before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a case of they're coming species. We'll destroy ourselves and make way for them.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Scruff, any chimp questions?
No questions at this time.
That's fine. I didn't realize chimps eat monkeys.
Yeah, they hunt.
They're
Oddly enough, gorillas, vegetarian. Chimps, tear your arm off and eat it.
But they're a very caring, empathetic species or creature, Like when boys are born, they'll be cared for by their mom, blah blah, until they reach kind of basically teenagehood, where it's like it's really they basically get exiled from their group and they're alone and no one's looking after them, because they have to kind of transition from child to adult. And that means getting on the social ladder, which means you're grooming other apes and they're grooming you, But this little fella, he couldn't get on. He was so shy and he was alone and he just wasn't very social. His name was Burgle, I think. Was it Burgle? Yeah. And he would spend a lot of time on his, just like all the monkeys would be one side and he'd be away from him, sitting on his own in the forest. But he'd be sad and lonely, And if no one's looking after him and people aren't grooming him, like his kind of health would dissipate, He ended up getting a parasite on his face, and people hadn't seen him for a while, but he was basically like dying, And then one older chimpanzee, apparently, kind of as males kind of age out of the whole hierarchical, patriarchal chimpanzee thing that they have. Once older chimpanzees age out of that, they quite often will adopt the orphans that have kind of been abandoned, or they'll quite often become nurturing in their older life. They're super aggressive, but as they get older, they become less aggressive and more nurturing. And it's quite common for male chimpanzees to adopt orphans and look after them. So the fella, I think his name was Garrison, realized that nobody cared where Burger was. Nobody was looking for him. And then there's one guy who was just like, hey, where's that monkey? And he went and found him with his face parasite and stuff, and started helping him and grooming him, and basically inducted him into the kind of social ladder and all that kind of stuff. But it's very, very sweet things. They're incredible species. It was just fascinating stuff. I know I'm not really kind of doing a good job explaining it, but watch it. Chimp Empire.
Sounds
It's
amazing.
great. It's really good fun.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Is that a Netflix thing original, or where are we watching it?
Netflix for sure. I don't know, like the original or whatever, but yeah, it's really, really, really good stuff. Fascinating things. And then female, I guess this is there's stuff you never know. I never knew, like female chimpanzees, like once they come to us, because like this is basically a group of, like, say 24, you know, and then a group of 120. But as soon as the female chimpanzees come to an age where the boys, they'd have to kind of transition from child to adult on the what would you call that, pack ranking system or whatever, was as soon as the girls would come to that kind of age, they'd age out of the group, and they'd have to move out of the group and move on to another group, and that's how they stop inbreeding.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
so I never-
there is a degree of understanding to
Yes, yeah. So that's how they
Whether
keep their
it's-
things clean, like, you know, healthy and clean. So
Pure.
pure. So yeah, fascinating stuff. Pretty cool. Check it out. It was actually really, really good. I would have loved to watch more of it.
Has anybody watched American Nightmare yet?
No, I don't even know what that
Sweet
is.
Dream or American Nightmare. Yeah, I watched it
Yeah, I think it only came out this week, I think. Was it?
Wednesday.
Or was it Wednesday, was
I
it?
believe so.
3 episodes, documentary from the team that produced Tinder Swindler.
All right. I
Um,
didn't find this as good as.
Have you watched it, Kev? No?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I didn't find it. I'll be honest with you. I had issues with it.
Sure.
I think it was
I'm not so much recommending it as just talking about the
story. Yeah, fire away.
or what happened,
Yeah,
which was
it's
just
horrendous and crazy.
shocking.
Yeah.
So what's the overview? Like I know we don't want to go into spoilers on something this new, but like what's the pitch on the, like, if I read the documentary
A
blurb?
guy calls the police because his girlfriend's been kidnapped. He's been tied up and, like, hooded, essentially.
Right.
And he said, my girlfriend partner has been kidnapped. And the police just immediately start to suspect him of being involved. And
Statistically, that would make sense, but yes.
yeah.
And there was strange
And-
things, but
Yeah. Eventually, she turns up. And this is after getting a proof of life, which they kind of found very suspicious. But she turns up, and the police then accuse them of the whole thing being a hoax.
essentially Gone Girl.
Gone Girl, yeah.
Okay.
At first, they thought that, like, she had faked her disappearance to try get him into trouble, as in basically like plot from Gone Girl. And it's insane. It's crazy. I won't say more than that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think, I think it's a news item. I don't think we should be saying no spoilers for, real life events.
Yeah.
Because that's weird. It's not entertainment.
Yeah.
But just in case people want to go in knowing less, I'll say less.
Yeah.
But yeah, just absolutely
Bonkers.
bizarre story.
I just kind of felt I think things, like, to be honest, I kind of, Tinder Swindler was so good, so I'm kind of shocked to hear that. But it's like, I just think things weren't addressed. I think they touched on things. They didn't elaborate enough on things. I think how they tried to kind of, like, lay it out.
Which things? Let's not be vague.
Let's not be vague. So, like, you know the way...
Because there was things that they did that I kind of understand why it wasn't the most clarity.
Yes.
But I think it was to kind of put us in the situation at the beginning of the case where it's... So, like, at the start, it's really unclear whether she's still alive or whether she was returned. And then later, they have interviewed the two of them together. And I think that was to kind of put us in the moment where it kind of would have felt like for either of them.
They were together now.
Not knowing whether... Because he didn't know if she was alive. And it's unclear if maybe he did do something. And then when you start to hear her story, it kind of puts us in her shoes, I think.
Yeah.
Because she had so much uncertainty. She didn't know whether this person was ever going to... It was supposedly a ransom hostage kind of situation, but she didn't know if they were just telling her that to keep her compliant or... So I think that lack of clarity at the start kind of puts us in both their shoes a bit because it kind of recreates some of the uncertainty that they would have been experiencing. And as people watching the news at the time, because I think the police were insisting that they were just lying.
Yes.
And I think that confusion that the lack of clarity creates probably reflects their mental state and the kind of people following news at the time, I think. So I kind of get that decision, if that's what you're kind of referring to.
Yeah, like I see how you're. Yeah, I understand definitely in a sense of trying to recreate how it played out in real time, basically, and how people would have been, getting the information and stuff. But no, it's just like kind of an intruder breaks into their home. He said it's like look, I know there's information they don't have. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have answers to things. An intruder breaks into their home. He knows their names, or at least he knows the husband's name. He says this is not Andrea, which is the guy's ex-fiance or something. However, the woman still gets his partner still gets kidnapped, and she's taken away. He's left in a room in his house on the couch that he can't get off of because the intruder has installed a camera in the corner of the room and is monitoring him and told him if he moves, if he calls police, if he does this, that, he's going to kill his partner. So the guy didn't contact the police for something like 11 hours or something, Brian, wasn't it? Maybe I'm wrong.
I can't remember now exactly.
But he didn't contact the police for hours. So that initially raised his suspicion, But like he's kind of there going like, yeah, there's a camera in the room and, blah, blah. And it sounds like absolute utter bullshit and tripe. But they never really kind of, like they touched on things. It's like at one stage they find out that one of the FBI investigators involved had been involved with with one of the suspects or the husband's ex-partner, There's just kind of things that like I just felt like kind of the way they kind of like gave us information and then so kind of like
I wonder is it a bit rushed because I haven't heard I haven't
heard of it either.
If I'd heard of that story as it was happening, I'd forgotten. So I wonder is there an element of when they find a story like this where they try to
get ahead of
the
it.
first to break it. Yeah, and it's like it's 3 episodes and we do it as concisely and as detailed as we can, but we also have to get it out because before the story gets picked up and somebody else makes it. Because we had something like Making a Murderer, which was years in the making, where they just happened to kind of fall into this phenomenal story that was twisting and turning, and now there's a race to find the next one.
I know. Yeah.
Every time it's trying to because they've produced a few now, like the Murdoch one.
Yeah, Murdoch Family, buddy.
Yeah,
the Murdoch Family, or something like that. Yeah.
That was 3 or 4 episodes, and then we got a follow-up episode because the court case was happening. So like they're making stuff that hasn't even
they're doing it live
yet. Live.
They're doing it live, and that's anytime you see a movie about a massive world event a year after the massive world event, I'm like, I'm going to check back in 10 years because y'all don't know what this is yet.
Yeah, because the story isn't even finished yet.
But and that's a good point. So basically, I would say the structure of the show it's 3 episodes, wasn't that it, right?
3 episodes,
and it's kind of like episode.
Like I said, I'm not even necessarily recommending. It was just I watched it this week, and the whole time I was just like, "This is
Brian.
This is bizarre."
It's bizarre,
especially the fact that I hadn't heard about
it.
Yes,
it's horrendous. That poor
her story is just
horrendous,
fucking awful.
Horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, content warning to anybody.
Yeah.
Listening and thinking of watching it. Her recounting her experience and her other experiences are just fucking
horrendous. She's crazy strong, but it's
brutal.
Horrendous. She's a crazy powerful woman, really, in fairness. Kind of to be able to talk about it the way she talks about it, and then obviously to be able to having to endure that, but it's like it's like episode 1 is like, did he do it? Episode 2 is, did she do it? And episode 3 is like, what happened, what actually
do they have an answer?
They do.
Oh yeah.
They do to an extent, right, Brian?
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I don't disagree with you, Kev. It's it could be more comprehensive.
Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's a story that seems like it needs more than 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But again, it's just like it seems like maybe they want to get it out faster, and if there's interest, maybe they do a follow up with extra content that they have. We get the Snyder cut.
Yeah, but I'm just like on the flip side of it, though, there is it is reality, and I'm sure there's just simply there's no answers to some of those questions that I have issues with, or that the structure of it. The structure of it is very probably just it's indicative of kind of the actual situation. You know what I mean? But it is good. It's a good, when I say good, it's horrendous, but it's as documentaries go, it's worth the watch, but it's horrendous.
It is well made otherwise.
Yeah.
Like,
And-
it's not.
Oh god, and the police, that mustard guy, shame on
Woeful.
him, shame on him, and the stuff he said to Denise's poor mother, shame on him, shame on him.
We've seen a number of times as well. We've seen like anybody talking about particularly dealing with the police in America. If you're ever like being questioned and stuff, it's just,
Say
do not talk to
fucking
them without
nothing.
a lawyer.
Say nothing.
It's funny to see it happen like in real time where they're just accusing the boyfriend of stuff, and he's complying, and he's just like, I can't believe you think I've like you can see him where he's just like questioning his sanity and reality, and the moment he says, I think I need a lawyer, the cop just stops instantly. He knows he can't say another, but before that he's just like being horrible to him. He's like, you've done this is what's happened, this is how you've done it, this is how it's played out. And meanwhile the other guy's thinking, she was literally taken and you're not looking for her because you think it's me. And he's just, you can see him just like question everything. And then the moment he says, I think I need a lawyer, the cop just stops everything. He's like, what? I can't
You've said lawyer.
abuse or torment you anymore. I have to stop.
Yeah.
He said lawyer.
Yeah.
Honestly,
See it as such a cliche, but it's just so.
oh, anybody listen
true,
to this. If you're ever in a situation, guilty or innocent, I don't know, fucking, but get yourself a lawyer. Don't say anything. Don't say a fucking word. Don't tell him anything. Even in the documentary, I think it's in that documentary to say like kind of, don't make a statement. If you make like several statements and there's any like inaccuracies between those statements, they'll use that against you. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Because even if you're
Lawyer.
innocent as hell, lawyer up. It's the safest way for you to ensure you get out of it. But yeah, crazy shit.
Yeah, there's a whole like Tom Segura's got a whole bit on that as well about watching that show, the first 48. You just like, if they don't solve the murder in the first 48 hours, they ain't solving that murder. And the minute anybody says lawyer, the story's over. Like it's happened 2 or 3 times in the show, but the minute they say lawyer, it's like, okay, now we have no.
Well, that's that done. Yeah.
Yeah, moving on.
Episode's finished.
There's another murder to look at. Let's put that one down for a minute. Okay, that's good. I did a little like. I've been digging through some of the like Amazon Prime movies. I always find like Amazon Prime's cataloging and their UI is
My
The
God.
garbage I found there. I sent you clips, didn't I? Of
Yes,
some of the stuff
yeah.
I was watching.
You did. What the hell was that?
Hey, just,
I don't
just
know.
Pause
I
that for 1
don't
second.
know. There's
Pause that for
so
1 second.
much of it.
Do we have to stop for a second?
No. I just want to be part of this conversation, and I just have to close the door because it's making noise, and I don't want to be in the background.
Go.
1 second.
Go. So what was it you were watching, Brian?
Well, that one specifically was, I think it was called like Pandora's Box, but it was volume 2. And they are just, they're not even like student films, they're just amateur films. And it looks like whatever about the people who wrote and made these things, they're out there and they're trying, they're making stuff. But the fact that it's, so basically what's on Amazon looks like the DVD has been ripped. So like on Amazon, there's still the DVD menu as part of the thing. Like it cuts back to,
Why did they do
it's
that?
that bad. Prime is full of just some absolute dreck.
Like garbage that you shouldn't be paying for. That shouldn't be on a service you're paying for.
It's in like one. I think there's, what is it? There's a couple of like B-movie stuff that will come up, and it'll be stuff that nobody ever maybe liked, but it's just garnered a bit of a cult status. And once you click into that, not even watch the whole thing, just the recommendations related to that, it's a rabbit hole of just
Nonsense.
really cheaply made, borderline pornographic stuff. A lot of it is like, there's a lot of amateur horror stuff that is just an excuse for people to film girls with their tops off and stuff like that. And it's insane how much of it is on. Yeah, but it's insane how much of it is on Prime. I've gone down a rabbit hole of watching so much of this stuff. It's crazy.
It just doesn't feel curated, I guess.
It's not like the UI is awful. Like what was I looking for recently? Oh, I saw the Hunger Games prequel over Christmas.
Oh, the
The
Ballad of Lizards and Giblets.
Songbirds and Snakes.
Okay.
Snakes. Actually didn't hate it.
I,
Thought it was
I
decent.
only watched the first one. I've never seen Hunger Games.
Yeah, went home because I'd seen a few times that Hunger Games was popping up on recommendations. I couldn't remember if it was on Disney or on Prime and stuff. I searched for it on Netflix and Disney. It wasn't there. Searched for it on Prime. It wasn't there. So I go back to the main menu on Prime, and Mockingjay Part 2 comes up on Prime. It's like, but I just searched for that.
Yeah.
So I type Hunger Games in. It doesn't come up in the search results on Prime.
It's fucking nuts.
The whole thing, like Hunger Games 1 and 2 and Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 are all on Prime, and they didn't show up in the search
From
on
here.
Prime. It's crazy.
It-
It's
it's a-
insane how bad, especially because Amazon's whole thing is built on, like, if you buy like anything you choose to buy, the kind of the long tail of purchases, the way it's been able to recommend stuff and really capitalize on the data it produces from every action you take on the website when you're buying something, produces another opportunity for them to, like, one, create more data and learn more about you and drive you towards other projects and stuff you might be interested in. That's why it became so huge. And yet then when you go to their streaming service, it doesn't have any of that same kind of function or search or sophistication. It's crazy, the disparity between the two.
It's awful.
It's mental. Like I look at stuff like when I'm scrolling around, and it's like there's I can't even think of an example, but it's like the movie is there, and then there's like the director's cut extended version is there as well, and it's like, can we
God.
just pick
When
a
it
fucking-
has multiple seasons of things
It's
as
got
separate
of
entries.
classic movies as well. It has classic movies as well. It's got like the original, and then it's got the like colorized version. It's like, just fucking pick one. Like, be a curated experience here.
It really does seem like that they just ripped DVDs. That they had this machine that had discs pumped into it that just ripped the data as you would when you were, like, burning a DVD or something, and then just put up those files, because there's just no, like I said, no curation. There's multiple versions of
Of
the
films,
same film
yeah.
up there,
And
different
some
versions.
of them,
and
like,
sometimes
some
it's
of
just with, like, different
qualities.
cover art or something. Yeah, different quality, different cover art. It's weird.
I watched.
Do you know what? It really reminds me of, like, browsing in a VHS rental. Like that's what it feels like. It feels like the biggest one in the world, and I'm just, like, picking up boxes of cassettes, kind of going, what's the difference between these two?
100%. So like I've been trying to like find like the sweet spot of like old movies that are like, yeah, we've got some old movies, but it's a decent version of it, and it's like kind of well like document. I don't know. It's like, because there's like something like Mubi or like the Criterion Collection stuff, like when they had their streaming service, where you feel like you're like, where you feel like cinema history is being respected and curated
Yeah.
and presented well, as like, isn't this amazing, you know, as opposed to like, here is a
Here's
scan
some shit.
of the magnetic
whatever
tape
you want,
that
I
was
don't
sent
care.
to a TV studio in 1991. Like, there's TV shows that I've seen. That's a weird fucking thing. I think I've talked to you about this before, where I'd be like scrolling through TV, and I find like one of the like Movies for Men channels, or like one of these shitty movie channels somewhere down that takes commercial breaks every 10 minutes, and it's playing Farscape or Stargate SG-1, and I look at it and I go, God, this show looks like dog shit. It hasn't aged well. And then I see a version of it played on Sky One or on DVD, and I'm like, oh no, this looks fine. So whatever tape they were handed to fucking play this back is so fucked, and it's being broadcast. I watched a bunch of stuff. I watched About My Father with Sebastian Maniscalco and Robert De Niro. That's a new one, to be fair, but it's just illustrating my like hopping around Prime for the last week and a half or so. It's a bad version of Meet the Parents, and I never liked Meet the Parents. I watched...
De Niro made 2 Meet the Parents.
Huh?
De Niro made another non-sequel, Meet the Parents.
Yeah, it's basically he's Sebastian Maniscalco's dad, and he doesn't want to meet that family, and he's just like, it's the awkwardness of a family meeting a family. It's Meet the Parents. I watched City Slickers 2. Now I'm stepping back in time again. I really enjoyed that movie. I always have time for that one that would like show up on UTV on a Saturday evening before, the evening TV kicked in. There's some beautiful shots in that. I love Billy Crystal as a little leading man. I don't know why I added a little there, but like you don't think of him as the action guy as much. But there's a couple of shots in there where he's like chasing a horse through a canyon on horseback, and it's like, that's cool. They like fucking shot this, and like it's pre-CGI. So when 100 horses come over a hill, it's like shit. They had to drive 100 horses over this fucking hill. Like it's not pre-CGI, but it's like they're not doing like 1994, 95. They're not. It's pre-Lord of the Rings where they had the like masses of people being generated for hordes of armies. I can't remember what that engine was called. Hopscotch was one I watched. I don't know if you all have ever heard of that. It's Walter Matthau and Glenda Jackson in a spy movie set during like the Cold War. That was fun. That was a fun like kind of like pre sort of Jason Bourne-y like chase around Europe for a CIA agent gone rogue with Walter Matthau.
I want to watch. That's reminded me.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should watch a film that I haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But listening to a lot of Henry Mancini.
Okay.
It's like just absolutely gorgeous scores.
Yeah.
But there's a track that he has for a film called Experiment in Terror, and the theme tune is so fucking good.
The film is called Experiment in Terror.
Yeah, and the theme that I keep listening to it's a piece called Experiment in Terror, and it is so good. And I figure I should give the film a watch. And if I'm going to dig up an old film, we should all watch it.
Lee Remick.
And maybe talk about it. Because I looked it up. I kind of assumed that maybe the score had outshone the film.
Mm.
So I looked up the film, and it actually did get good reviews. So
okay,
I was going to watch it anyway, but seeing as it got good reviews, we should maybe check it out. But
100%.
Also give the main theme a listen. It's just, I'm just playing it in my head right now, and it's just giving me so much joy. It's just this moody, sultry, badass, cool score. It's amazing. He's got to be one of the best composers who's ever worked in film. He's
100%.
So
he is up there with legendary status for sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's great. I love it. I love the recommendation. That's next week's film for sure. I'll try and find a place to watch it.
Find a DVD copy of it, and we'll post it to each other.
Exactly.
What's it called, Brian? Just so I can order on eBay now.
Experiment in Terror.
Experiment in Terror.
It's not on Prime, is it?
I mean, it could be, but
good luck finding it. Okay.
Experiment in Terror.
It's on. You can rent it on. You can rent it on YouTube for €3.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, which I actually genuinely do when I can because
I
it's
do.
Great.
Well, yeah.
It's great. It's so good. Yeah, I don't have a problem at all paying for that stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. That's
cool. Just to finish on Hopscotch, it was fun.
Sorry.
Like the director's Ronald Neame, and he does have a few like good films to his like history. The one I remember seeing on TNT when I was a child was The £1 Million Note with Gregory Peck, I think it is. But it's a fun sort of pre the complexity of a Jason Bourne movie. It doesn't have the high tech, it doesn't have the energy. There's a lot of like typewriters and like physical fucking around and like phone calls, but it's got Sam Waterston in it, a very young Sam Waterston, as a sort of the up and coming
Mr. Eyebrows
CIA agent, dark hair at that point. I will say that like I don't think I'm really spoiling anything on a over 40-year-old film by saying it does a pretty good spy trope thing at the end where the like, the guys chasing him don't recognize he's there because he's got a disguise on. One of these little like, he was right beside me kind of moments. But the right beside me disguise does involve Walter Matthau browning up and wearing a turban.
Oh dear.
And they just didn't need that in the last 60 seconds of the movie. If I had to cut a scene from a film, Like, it's not even like in the rest of the film there's a Mission Impossible style disguise trope or gimmick happening. He never wears his disguise in the movie. He changes his name and alias and passports and stuff, but he never puts on a fucking rubber nose and speaks with an accent anywhere else in the film. And then the last minute they're like, why did you do this?
Apparently it was quite common though.
What?
That disguise stuff. Like they
In
spent
CIA?
Yeah. Like it was somebody's job to come up with disguises and means where they could like do quick transformations and stuff. It's crazy.
They're 100% still. Someone's still doing that.
Oh yeah, no, completely. Yeah. No, it probably seems out of place to us because we're so used to it as a movie trope or a thing. But apparently, it's a very authentic thing.
I don't doubt that. I might have seen the same thing you're seeing. Making a presumption. I did see a YouTube video where they spoke to somebody who was like a disguise specialist for CIA or something. Whatever the I don't know how they prove that credential. But a lot of talk around simple things of like adding a major distracting feature. Wearing glasses and a bright colored wig is a thing that sticks in a person's brain. No, I definitely remember they were a shocking blonde color. Like something that just distracts from the fact that like they don't have any hair. Like when they take the wig off, it's like it couldn't have been him. He doesn't have any hair.
Well, you said blonde, so
yeah. So yeah, like simple, quick change things that just change the like perception or the memory as it hits you. But yeah, like I said, it didn't need the brown face at the end of the movie for almost no reason. But it's fun and it's on Prime. The one I was really going to talk about though, because like I know I'm doing a lot of talking here.
That's all right.
There's a movie called The Freshman from 1990, and I watched this because I had watched Mafia Mama, but I saw The Freshman in, I don't know, I was probably 15 or 16 and it was on Sky Movies or something, and I think it's a little, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's a kind of forgotten Broderick comedy, Matthew Broderick and Marlon Brando.
Yeah, which is mad.
And he's a film student that gets robbed and gets embroiled in like mafia goings on, and it's a light comedy, and Brando is basically reprising his Godfather role, and like because they're film students, it does not go unobserved. They're just like, oh my god, you really bear a resemblance to, and everybody's like, shush, don't fucking talk about it. And it's a funny fucking film. I was reading about the process of it getting made. The writer-director is the guy behind, like he wrote the script that became Blazing Saddles. He's written a few other things as well. He was saying they paid Brando $3 million to do the movie, which was again huge for 1990.
Yeah.
Once they had Brando, Broderick, who was huge at the time, absolutely jumped on the fucking film. It says Laurence Olivier was up for, like, wanted to be a part of it, but he proved too sick in the last minute. It's got some funny shit in as well, where it's like the production ran a week over. They needed an extra week of Brando, so he said it'll be another $1 million, and they said no, thank you. Like, you just have to do the job. And he apparently threatened to shit on the film if they didn't pay him. And he just went out in the press and started shitting on the film, and it started getting headlines about what a turkey this was going to be. And they then paid him. And then he started going around singing the praises about what a good film it was. That is some shitty behavior. Like, I don't know what that does in terms of like this movie.
He was a
falling.
piece of shit.
He definitely has his fucking ups and downs narratively, but like, I kind of agree. The amount of I rarely hear like what a lovely person Brando was. Every story you hear is about the like misbehaviors or the selfish
horrible.
behaviors. But
He was a nasty person.
it is a funny film in just a light, fun comedy kind of way, and I just like those films. Like, I was trying to think, how can I put a list together of these just sort of like really light, fun fucking films? And I really recommend The Freshman. It's like, it's not going to shatter anybody's world, but it's just a nice put it on in an afternoon or an evening film. I would say watch it.
Fair.
Cool.
I might.
I also think it might be one of the early Broderick roles I see where he's like not he's not high status, but like Broderick went from being Ferris Bueller, cool guy star, to always playing like low status, fish out of water, like you know, the producers, Max Bialystock or Tower Heist. You know, he's weaker willed. Like he went from being
Ferris Bueller to being a wimp.
basically, yeah, in every role. Now maybe they're just more fun to play, but like he even plays like Booger or something in 30 Rock as well. He just went to playing low status characters, and it's a weird progression.
Do you think that was after the incident at Belfast?
Donegal?
Or Donegal, was it?
I think so. I don't know. I can't ascribe everything in Matthew Broderick's life to the time he inadvertently
To the murder
killed
of
some
a
people.
person.
Do we say murder? Reckless driving, accidental.
Doesn't have to be intent.
Wrongful killing? I don't know. I don't know what you call it.
Manslaughter?
Manslaughter, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I can't ascribe everything in the man's life to that incident.
No, I was just saying in terms of like his career projection and the type of roles he was attracted to. Maybe after that incident, he kind of was like, you know, don't want to be like putting it out there that I'm living large and, you know, Hollywood star, having the best time of my life. I'm going to do more meager, you know, roles.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It's
yeah.
just like, I don't think it's helpful to try and diagnose the behaviors in that regard. I just think it's funny to...
Sorry for being unhealthy.
It's all right. I forgive you. My iPad won't charge, guys. I'm really fucking sad. Because I don't have $2,000 to spend on another iPad, or €1,200.
Yes, it's incredibly disappointing that they're so expensive now. Buy a second-hand one. That's what I'm going to do. Fuck it. Gonna give a fuck.
I wonder how to go about cleaning this charging port, because I know it's just a cleaning issue. Because protein shake, it just sort of dries into that little flaky, like it's just covering the contacts, I'm assuming.
High-powered air.
I read a thing saying don't do that, it just pushes shit into the, can ingrain it.
Oh.
I don't know. I have the air
suck.
canister here, I can give it a shot. Brian, you were saying you were playing a video game called Jusant? Jusant? It's French?
You say oui.
Oui?
I think it is. I think it's French for a receding tide. I think
Okay.
something like that. It's a climbing game,
Okay.
and it's wonderful.
Looks very pretty.
It's beautiful. It's kind of a bit of a puzzle game. I'm not far enough into it yet for the climbing to become a puzzle. It's still kind of like showing me the ropes. Haha.
Right.
Little joke there.
Oh, God.
It's got a really nice climbing mechanic where you approach the surface you want to climb, and if there's a valid thing for you to hold there, you can press the left trigger or the right trigger. The left trigger is your left hand, right trigger is your right hand. And if there's a valid hold, the character will grip onto it, and you keep that trigger pressed. So if I press the right trigger, the character grabs it with their right hand and they hold on. And then I use the left stick to search for a hold. And if there's a valid hold in the direction I'm pushing, then they'll place their character, or the character will place their hand in that direction. So if I push up and there's a hold in that direction, they'll reach up. But if there's nothing above him, then he won't move their hand. So that's like describing to me that there's, you know, something there to grab or not. So whether it's to the left or the right, wherever the hold is, then I press the left trigger and the character grabs on with their left hand.
Okay,
now
cool.
I'm holding both triggers. And I'm holding both triggers, so I'm holding on with both hands. So then I need to release the right trigger and search for another hold with the stick. And I'm just kind of searching for holes and you're grabbing. So like you're really feeling like you're holding on because you are holding on with the triggers. And climbing up. Don't know why I'm climbing up yet. Just climbing a mountain. But then at a certain point you'll have to place like a little a piton, which is, you know, the kind of like the metal spike you put in the wall. And that's kind of like a checkpoint. Because you have a stamina meter. So if you're climbing for too long, your stamina will run out and you'll drop to wherever you're, whether it's where you placed your hold at the start or you've got 3 that you can use. So you can kind of create 3 checkpoints. But if you go the wrong route on the way up and your stamina runs out, you're going to drop to your last point and you'll have to like, you kind of figure out, okay, that's not the route I need to take here, and maybe I need to go right instead of left or something. But this is a really beautiful game. It's got a kind of a graphic novel, sci-fi kind of style. Reminds me of a little bit Mobius, I guess, maybe.
Okay,
That's in 3D.
That's a very popular aesthetic.
Yeah, but it's beautiful looking game, and I would love, Kev mentioned that he thought it was Zelda or something when he first saw it. I would love a Zelda type game in this style, because like one of the things I really don't like about Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom is how small the character is, how far back the camera is from the character, so all the environments just kind of feel like toys. And it's fine for a while, when kind of doing exploration and stuff, but after a while it gets a bit samey, and when you're kind of finding new locations and new places, they just feel kind of small in scale, and it robs it a bit of the kind of sense of discovery and exploration. Whereas with this, the camera's just that bit closer, and the environments are just that much more engaging
And
because of it.
when did you get it?
It came out in October, and I only heard of it like a week or two ago. And I was like, I can't believe, this game is climbing and everything else. I was like, it's puzzles and it looks gorgeous and it's right up my alley. How have I not heard of it? So it was €25 on the PlayStation Store, and it's beautiful. And I'm barely. It's probably not the longest game, but I've probably only been playing it for about an hour so far, and so it starts. You're kind of walking across this arid landscape, and there's kind of lots of what looks like kind of shipwrecks and stuff like that. So there's something to do with the tide, obviously related to the title and things like that. And it looks like there's almost like a lighthouse type structure on the mountains. So one of the first things I've done is kind of climb up that, and I'm reading all these letters that people have been sending to each other back and forth, and it's about them kind of moving from where they are to everybody's leaving. They've all gone somewhere. I'm trying to piece together the pieces of where have they gone and why have they gone and things like that. And you've got this little kind of Ghibli creature kind of thing in your backpack that kind of can show you the way, and it can kind of like highlight stuff, and it's just really cute and really nice. And the climbing mechanic is really, really solid. It's good fun. Feels like you're climbing. You can do kind of jumps and stuff, and it's really, I love it. Really enjoying it.
Okay, awesome. Sounds
Highly recommend.
Sounds pretty epic.
But I hope in like future kind of, not necessarily Zelda or other titles, I would love to see them kind of implement the scale and the climbing mechanic as well, because it's really frustrates me in games when, like something like an Assassin's Creed, or even like what I loved about the last 2 Zelda games was that you can climb any surface, but you're basically just pushing a direction.
Yes,
you're not actively climbing. You're just pushing a direction. It'd be great to see them implement stuff like this, and especially with something like Assassin's Creed where you're parkouring. It's the same thing. You're just pushing a direction and you're just climbing over stuff. It'd be great to see something be a bit more,
I suppose so.
engaged, but also satisfying as you're pressing stuff.
I guess so.
Nice feedback.
But I guess Zelda and Assassin's Creed, like they have a lot more than just a climbing. Going on.
But there's no reason that they can't put it in there.
Put a little bit more of it in there. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Cool beans.
I'd like to see the scale as well. Like I said.
Okay, sounds cool.
I will share more footage as I do more cool stuff.
Yes.
Cool.
Aiden, did you watch anything else this week?
Let me think. I gave you a significant list of things. Freshman. I mentioned Mafia Mama.
I watched Mafia Mama.
Did you enjoy it?
More than you, anyways.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. Toni Collette's great.
Toni Collette's great.
I like seeing her
in everything and anything, but I do know there's parts of it where it's just like she's kind of getting like, give me my phone, and gives her phone, and she's like, she's like, it's like she's not a child. Like it's kind of like you're playing, a mother struggling with the empty nest. Would you say that's correct? And then she kind of finds out that her husband is cheating on her.
Mm-hmm.
Her grandfather. But what I'm trying to say is just like kind of like sometimes it's like they made her seem like a little bit too stupid, I think.
Naive, I think,
yeah.
is how I would describe
Yeah.
that character.
Yeah.
And
But I loved it. 10 out of 10. Great movie.
I don't think she's too what did you say?
I said
10
I
out of
loved it.
10?
10 out of 10. Great movie.
Okay, cool. I had a lot of fun with it too. Toni Collette's just a good actor. Monica Bellucci in it is, I guess
That's
I don't
who
see
that
her.
was.
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd, Monica Bellucci doing comedy, but I like sort of. It's like when you saw Peter O'Toole and King Ralph. They're there doing their thing, but it's like I don't know that you fit in this thing, especially when they introduced the idea that she's got an artificial leg because she got run over, but the leg is like
Perfectly, like it's like
a perfect human leg.
yeah, it's like wow, like we're all
It's just
watching.
also titanium.
Yeah, we're all watching this going like so like prosthetic technology has become so advanced that looks like a fully functioning human.
Yeah,
leg.
she gets shot in the leg and the bullet bounces off and hits somebody else, and it's like, this is some Naked Gun logic in a film that isn't the Naked
I was
Gun.
going to say that's okay. Exactly, that's okay in a movie that would be like full of that stuff.
Yeah,
you know. But yeah.
It's an odd choice.
It is an odd choice. Brian, did you watch anything else?
Poor Things.
Well, okay, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay. We got the sort of Oscar.
I don't know anything about that. As in, like, I don't know what it's about. I'm aware that Paul Mescal and someone called, is it Adam Scott?
That's not that film.
What's Poor Things then?
Poor Things is Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo and
Willem
Dafoe.
Dafoe.
Oh, and that's the one where
Small Things, I think, is what you're thinking of.
All Things is the other one, is it?
Small Things like these. Paul Mescal. Hold on, I'll Google.
Sorry, Brian, for derailing your thing. I don't know.
I need to watch something with Paul Mescal in it because I'm missing whatever this is. In that I don't people he's huge and going to be huge, and I've not watched anything with him in it.
Oh.
But sorry, tell us about
Poor Things, yes.
Well, why don't you tell me what you know about Poor Things? So
Is that the one where Emma Stone is wearing a black wig or black hair?
Yeah.
And she's basically, so I've only seen, I don't even know what I saw of it. I don't even know if it had sound. I can't remember. But it was just like, kind of, she was doing a lot of running around. It looked like it looked a little bit like Batty. It looked like
Look like a what?
Batty. It looked a little crazy.
Oh, yes. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes. It is. It is Batty.
Yeah, I got a like a Frankenstein's monster kind
Bit
of
of that.
spin, like a twist on Frankenstein's monster.
Oh,
you
cool.
know.
Yeah,
What's
a little bit of
the
that.
what's the movie with Oscar Isaac with the AI?
Ex Machina, no.
Ex Machina.
Is
It's like an artificial person experiencing the world, I guess, seeing the world through different eyes, type of job, I guess. But those are the assumptions I'm making. It's like, what does the world look like to something born yesterday, I guess.
Fair.
Tell us about Poor Things.
Yeah. How much to say about it, story-wise? I guess it is that. It is somebody kind of experiencing the world in a very raw, infantile almost way. I won't say too much about how that situation comes about. But Willem Dafoe plays a sort of a Frankenstein type character, doctor, who very much looks like a Frankenstein creation himself. He's kind of deformed. He's kind of almost patchwork kind of face. And he's conducting this experiment with Emma Stone's character, Bella. And he brings one of his students. He's a surgeon and he teaches at school. He brings one of his students back to kind of help him document this process. And somewhere along the way, Mark Ruffalo's character finds out about Bella, and he decides to steal her away and she starts to then experience things outside of the confines of what Willem Dafoe has been trying to show and teach her. And it's bizarre, it's surreal, it's grotesque, it's very funny, it's fantastic. I wouldn't really say too much more without spoiling it. Emma Stone is amazing in it. Mark Ruffalo is hilarious in it. He plays like it's almost like he's doing a Matt Berry impression or something. He's just this cat and a bounder. He just kind of talks with a purr, and he's enjoying every moment of what he's doing. That's Bella.
Interesting.
So entertaining.
Because I saw him in oh god, All of the Light Hits, or what was the name of that Netflix Nazi?
Yeah, All the Little Lights That Shine, or something like that. Or All the Little Lights
All the Light That Shines. All the Light We Cannot See.
Yeah.
I saw him in that, and it's like Mark Ruffalo is of course a fantastic actor, and we've seen him in many, many things over the years, but he has been very much in Marvel land for a while. At least in terms of my exposure to him, he's been Bruce Banner for ages. So seeing him in this thing where he's like playing sort of the European museum owner whose daughter, ends up whatever the hell. But Mark Ruffalo, in order to play sort of period European, is of course doing a vaguely British accent, and it's like, why are we doing this? And I was sort of like, I don't know, I was speed bumped by it, I guess is the only thing to say, but it's interesting that he then follows it up with Poor Things as well. So I guess he's like, I guess I heard Downey talking as well off the back of Oppenheimer as well, saying his management were like, you need to sort of like reboot your career a little bit post Marvel, do something different, take a big pay cut, change it up a bit. I can see how Ruffalo would do something similar, just take some big swings now that he's got some franchise security. But you recommend?
Yeah, it's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who did Killing of a Sacred Deer, Lobster, The Favourite. It's great. And the cinematographer on it is an Irishman. It's cool because the cinematography in it is stunning. It's a gorgeous looking film. Lots of kind of I suppose unconventional for now. It was like there's lots of fisheye kind of stuff. A lot of it is to kind of create the kind of language of like German expressionist and kind of silent film and stuff like that. It moves from black and white to color kind of maybe a third of the way through. But yeah, Irish cinematographer. So go on, the lads. Great.
Yeah, well, it looks savage. I'm going to check it out.
Do check it out. Do see it in the cinema.
Okay. I will try.
Yeah,
I will try.
See it in the cinema. Yeah,
don't
like,
watch
I'm
it
kind of
folks.
like I'm currently like planning my afternoon here, and it's like I've got nothing post, like I'll go to the gym after this, and then 2:00 is like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Boy and the Heron is out. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Definitely the rest of the people in the audience were only going to see it because of Emma Stone. They did not know what they were in for. Like that
is funny, isn't it?
They were so uncomfortable. There was a couple of walkouts actually. There was 4 or 6 people I noticed walking out. 2 of them walked out after about 40 minutes maybe, and then 2 walked out before the end. They'd been there for most of it, and I'm surprised that they
walked out
after seeing that much of it that they gave up. Yeah. It's kind of a shame. Yeah, a lot of people like. There's a lot of explicit sex scenes for Hollywood, let's say.
Okay. Okay. Before we walk into that, then, just because I am, as I get older, I'm getting more and more what's the word? Becoming a sensitive little bitch. Are any of them exploitative or traumatic?
A bit exploitative, maybe, in a way. Right. I mean, they definitely are.
I know as we get into Oscar seasoning, I know you're saying it's brilliant, but like I'm walking a line here because I always want to be like, I always think I'm like.
Well, it depends on what you mean by exploitative.
But I just don't want to be traumatized. Huh?
You won't be traumatized. It's a beautiful film.
Okay, cool.
It's great.
Okay, I like that.
It's great. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, part of the point is to feel that uncomfortableness in the moment you're watching it, so that when things go the way they go, the payoff is better. So I'm kind of robbing you of that a bit to tell you it's all going to be okay. Don't worry, because you're supposed to sit uncomfortably going, how is this going to play out for the people involved? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Like when we get
point
to
of all
Oscar
the time.
season and these movies come out, I know you put no stock in the Oscar end of things, but like we do get to like Oscar season and I go,
It's
these
not
are probably gonna
trauma
be great
porn
films,
stuff.
but I'm probably going to have to
No.
like muscle through some stuff and discomfort, and it's the eat your vegetables of the cinema season.
There is
sometimes.
discomfort, but it's not.
Okay, cool.
It's not
Like-
Oscar baity kind of stuff, you know.
Like Saltburn is right there, and the world is talking about it. I'm just like, I don't want to watch misery
Have you both seen
and
Saltburn?
shitty people.
Have you
No.
both seen Saltburn?
I haven't seen it. Have you?
Yes. Brian, have you?
No, not yet.
Do you want to, or are you just kind of like annoyed by the buzz, or
No, I'm definitely going to watch it.
okay?
I will watch it.
Prom-
When I
Promising
was
Young is better.
queuing for,
Play, Brian.
that's what I heard. Yeah,
Yeah.
Say that again.
Promising Young Woman is better. Like I thought Promising Young
Okay.
Woman was excellent. Like really, really good. Brilliant. Saltburn is very good. But I also kind of think like some of the hype about it, it's just like there's way worse things on TV shows and other movies and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a movie full of weird and eccentric people, and it's like it's gross, and there's gross elements to the movie and all that kind of stuff. But like there's been equally weird and gross stuff in movies forever. Silence of the Lambs, Someone Threw Semen at Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
That was horrendous. That was horrendous. I remember seeing it as a child and not fully understanding what was going on. And that was horrendous.
Yeah, I didn't get what that was when I saw it, but that's like, again, that film came out in 93, 94?
Yeah.
91, I think.
91. So I was
think so,
easily
yeah.
9 years old watching that movie.
And Denzel Washington is good.
Like, I'm assuming I saw it a few years after it came out.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure. Jesus Christ, I'd imagine we all did. But I would have seen it when it was on RTE, which probably would have been like 2 years after. it
That was
came out.
definitely on TV. That was definitely on TV when we were in primary school.
Oh, dude,
because
I watched it in
remember
primary school.
Being in primary school and people talking about it, and I
me
was
too.
just like, what are they talking about? I had no concept of what the film was.
Yeah.
I didn't see it until years later. But everybody in my class had seen it. I was like, what the
Yeah,
fuck
it's
are we
interesting,
talking
isn't it?
about?
It's so funny the way we're
Different things.
just like...
But I was
Kids have seen shit. There's always some laissez-faire parents that
well,
show some kid, and then that kid tells everybody, "You've got to see this."
I definitely like kind of. I watch things where I would say, in hindsight, I was potentially too young to watch it, right? But on the flip side of it, I also don't understand how I had toys of those things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
How do you mean?
There was toys for aliens.
Yes.
RoboCop and Rambo?
RoboCop, Rambo,
Yeah.
Alien, Predator.
Alien.
Like, why did I have to? RoboCop, I kind of understand.
That's because
they did a cartoon of it.
18-year-olds are kids.
Yeah. But I do like
This is true.
But I watched.
But it's saying like
I watched those-
We kind of would have seen those.
Pardon?
Go on, Kev.
I was just gonna say, like, I watched those things. I watched Terminator enough to kind of have a memory of me walking around primary school, like as a
Well, Terminator 2 wasn't. The first one was 18s. The second one was
I watched definitely. I'm talking about
The knife
was
through
like
the face.
PG or 15s.
I'm talking about what did you say the second one was, Brian?
Possibly was PG, but it was 15s definitely. Yeah, I don't think the 12s rating existed at the
Yeah.
time, but it went from being an 18s to a. I guess it had to be a 15s because I don't think there was a 12 certificate, and I can't imagine it was PG.
Yeah. No,
But there was a huge drop in the
they're from eight.
in
Yeah,
the kind
from
of
the first
violence
and
and
second.
tone and stuff.
But that
yeah.
was just mad because Team 1000 was pretty violent. But I do remember the first one. It's like vividly when I was younger. You know, there's particular scenes I would remember, and I can talk about like maybe I was in like second or third class, whatever age I was then. I think probably a little bit older, maybe fourth class, but still like very young to be watching those things. But I'm like we were probably even, and to be honest, we were probably even younger when we had toys of these things. So I don't get it.
Mm.
Brian, but you were going to say something then anyways, Brian.
Can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I don't remember.
What were we talking about?
Poor Things, Saltburn, explicit stuff,
Watching.
semen,
Oh, yes, that's what.
ejaculate.
Yes, that's you're right. Yes. What I was going to say about the Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs. Apparently, Denzel Washington has been cast as Hannibal Lecter for a Netflix movie coming out in September or something.
What?
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 Where
What,
are you seeing
what,
that?
what story are they even adapting?
You'd have to look at it, boy.
This year?
It's apparently Denzel.
Has he ever played a villain?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Training Day?
wasn't it?
Will star as Hannibal Lecter.
What story
Denzel
is this
Washington's
based on?
casting as Hannibal. This is The Guardian. As casting as Hannibal in Netflix film sparks race controversy in Tunisia. Okay, well, you're really...
What story are they adapting?
No. A decision to cast black actor Denzel Washington as the ancient Carthaginian general Hannibal. This is a different thing. This is a man this is the man that brought the elephants over the fucking Alps into Italy. That's a different beast there, Kevin.
Okay,
Different Hannibal.
fair. I read a headline.
Yeah. I hear you.
It's like, how did
He's
I
playing
not hear
Hannibal
about
Buress.
That's obviously
in,
that was a clickbait headline if ever there was one. You know what I mean? But yeah, he'd be a great Hannibal.
No,
to be fair.
I had heard that. Listen, I'd watch the man in most films. Yeah. He's a great actor. Why not? Like the fact that you said he'd be playing Hannibal Lecter, I think we were surprised, but we weren't disappointed. Yeah. Like I'd watch him.
I was just more surprised that I hadn't heard of
the news.
Like what story would they? They'd either have to write a new Hannibal story because there aren't any, or they'd have to make one that they've already made before. So it would be a remake of something that's already been adapted. I was kind of curious that I hadn't heard this yet.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a bit I don't know. I guess I can't picture him doing some of the horror stuff of it. But
when I went to see Poor Things, there hadn't been a cinema in Cork in a couple of months in the city. The cinema's in Cork, but there was none in the city, so I hadn't seen stuff for a while.
Right.
So when I went to see Poor Things, I was checking out the city centre one, which had gotten refurbished. So it was my first time in a while, and I bought my ticket online.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there just to pick up my ticket. So I'd assume I was going to scan a QR code or something and print off my ticket. But none of the machines for that were working, so I had to queue up. And there was only 3 people ahead of me in the queue. And there was only 2 people serving customers, and they were giving them tickets and snacks, which is very inefficient. And one of the guys working, there was a man and a woman working. The guy working, young enough guy, maybe late teens, early 20s. And he was serving 3 girls who seemed a couple of years younger than him. And he was just gabbing with them, just chatting. And meanwhile, the woman was serving like the other 2 groups that were ahead of me. And I was just like, this is fucking taking forever. This guy's finished serving these girls and he's still talking to them. And at one point, they had their phones out and they were like, I don't know what they were looking at, each other Spotify or Snapchat or something. But I was just like, this is too much. He's starting to piss me off. He's still talking to these people that, like, they're done. They've got their snacks. They've got their tickets. I just want to fucking collect my ticket and go watch the film.
Yeah.
And I was getting really, really pissed off. I was fuming because I was in the queue for at least 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes by the time I got out of the queue. I wasn't happy. And at one point, the girls even said to the guy, are we not holding up the queue? And he was like, oh, there's other people working. Don't worry about the other people queuing. And I was just like, are you fucking serious? I was raging. So by the time I got up to the counter, he was still talking to the girls. It was the woman who served me. So she had served 2 other groups of people while he was still dealing with one group. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I got up to the counter. I wasn't rude, but I didn't say a word. She was like, hey, how are you? And I just showed her my QR code. Like I didn't say a word. Showed the QR code. She printed off the ticket and she was like, thank you. And I said, thank you. and I went back up. I went upstairs to watch the film, and I almost left because it was 5 minutes into it, and I was still so mad about having to wait because I'd already got my ticket. I just wanted to collect it and go watch, and instead I was queuing for, it was at least 10 minutes, maybe close to 15. I was raging. It took me a while to relax and settle into the film.
That is nonsense.
That is the fucking...
But then when I came downstairs, when it was over, the staff were there, and the guy who didn't serve me because he was busy talking to the girls, he came up and he gave me a voucher, and he was like, "This is to apologize for the wait. It's a ticket for one film for you and another person. So that's to apologize for the wait." And I was like, "Okay, that's good."
very, very reasonable. Like that, there was a conversation.
Somebody noticed it.
Somebody, I think, I think probably the woman who served me probably said to him, or maybe there was a manager behind the scenes who was kind of watching everybody kind of on the tills and stuff, but somebody noticed anyway. Now, like I said, I wasn't rude. I still said thanks and everything, you know, I wasn't, I didn't say a word. I didn't
You just weren't
complain to
overly
anybody,
friendly.
but I was, but I thought that was pretty good.
No, look, like credit where credit is
That
due.
should be the bare minimum,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, but like, look, you got like, man, like how many times has stuff like that happened, and it's just never get, you know, and it happens.
Nothing gets. There's a cafe that I still go to regular enough, but used to go to all the time, and there was two baristas working there. You were there with me, Aiden. Like they knew me pretty well. They give me free coffees and stuff sometimes. So like, you know, it made sense for me to go there when they kind of knew me and stuff. And they were very friendly and they were very good at their job and stuff. And they've both left. And since then, just the people that they have working there are fucking terrible. I've walked out a couple of times. And the thing is, I don't mind waiting. But I've been in the queue and nobody's even acknowledged me. And there's been a couple of times I've been the only person. I've been standing at the till, just waiting to place an order, and one person's on the till, one person's on the espresso machine making the coffees. No one says a word to me. Don't even acknowledge that they've seen me. I know they're busy. I know stuff like coffees, especially if you're doing like lattes and mochas and hot chocolates, they take a while, especially if you're making more than one at a time. I don't mind waiting, but it's the fact that I'm standing there and no one has said to me, "I'll be with you in a second," or "Sorry, I just got to do this," or "1 second there." Not a word. And like the amount of times, there's one time there was somebody at the till and your one was at the espresso machine and nobody said a word. And then the one at the till walked out and got a dustpan and brush and started cleaning. It was like, oh, maybe somebody told her to clean that stuff first. Fair enough. She comes back to the till. I was kind of looking at her and I was fully expecting her to say sorry about that. And I was like, I had it ready, I'd loaded to be like, you're fine. She picks up her phone and walks back out. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And the amount of times I've walked out of there 5 or 6 times now because I'm just kind of standing there and no one even says, "Hey, how are you?" or "I'll be with you in a second" or something. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, somebody just acknowledge that. I'll wait another 20 minutes for my coffee if someone says, "I'll be with you in a second." But it's the fact you walk in and no one says a word and you're just standing there.
To be honest, that's every cafe. Now, man, like the cafe. I think cafes are the most poorly laid out and poorly.
The flow of customers in cafes is terrible.
Why have they got it so bad? Why have they got it so bad?
Yeah.
The cool hand on the corner here is horrendous. There's nowhere for anybody to stand. People have no common sense or self-awareness, or going to cafes and ordering coffees is a miserable experience. Thank God Emer only wants Americanos, and I don't really drink coffee. I don't drink coffee or anything like that. But it's just like it's the same going to a fancy cocktail bar where the lads are doing all the tricks and blah blah blah, and it's just like there's people ordering multiple cocktails. I just want like my beer, or like, you know, it's like fucking save that shit for another night. You know what I mean? But it's just like it's like a cocktail bar. It's too much.
But this thing is like even if somebody's making a bunch of cocktails and you just want a pint, if they were just to say to you, "Sorry man, I just got to do these," you'd be like, "Yeah, no problem."
Of course, you know,
they're fine. Yeah,
but
it's
the cafe
like
layouts,
I
hate them.
There's a guy, he's opened a cafe in a converted shipping container just down the road.
Yes.
It's like 3 minutes from the house. And he really knows his stuff. And it's got a drive-through kind of setup, and it's great in there. And it's just him, mostly by himself. I think he's like got a couple of his friends to kind of help out, but it's Sam's coffee, and it's just Sam most of the time. He's got one other person helping him out. But he took a break just since Christmas, so it's been closed. Well, not closed for 3 weeks. It's kind of on reduced hours, but it'll be back to normal on Monday. But it's just, I've gotten so used to it. I've had to like go to other places, and it's just like, I've just been spoiled with it basically for the last couple of months, because just got this really nice setup, and it's 3 minutes from the house, and it's this really good coffee, sound guy working there. The flow and the layout, it all works, and it hasn't been kind of up and running with the usual hours for the last couple of weeks. I'm like itching for it to get back.
It's cold. I wouldn't blame him for not wanting to sit in the container for hours and end, you know.
Well, he's on holiday. He's in, I don't know, I can't remember where he is.
Right then.
I went to see The Boy and the Heron as well.
Oh, how is it?
It's amazing.
Yeah, fuck.
I loved it.
Okay.
I thought I was going to see the subtitled version. I think it was dubbed. I wasn't thrilled about that. But I did get to hear then Robert Pattinson's Heron, which was crazy. You would not guess it was him. I would have guessed it was Willem Dafoe, because Willem Dafoe's in the film as well.
I've heard that I saw
wild.
like a TikTok meme or something. It was just like you know, American actor or Western actors getting roles in Studio Ghibli's, and it's just like doing their own voice, you know, and it's like Liam Neeson, Billy Crystal, whoever, and then it's just like and then it's like Robert Pattinson getting a role in the Studio Ghibli movie, and it's like you know, it's just like
it's wild.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Because they initially weren't marketing the film at all, so I just kind of went into it knowing absolutely nothing about it. So I hadn't heard anything, knew nothing about it. I just knew it was Miyazaki's latest, so I was going to go see it. So I had no idea. I thought I was going to see the subbed version anyway, so it was kind of wild. But gorgeous film.
Cool.
It's not a whole lot to say. I mean, there's loads to say, but I would just say just go see it.
Okay. I would love to see it.
Like, he had retired and then he came back. I still hope he makes more. I think he will make more if he's alive. He will. I think this thing was like 7 years in the making, between like production and writing and all that kind of stuff, not just straight animating. And he's 80 something now, I think, is he?
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I think he's 80 something. So I hope he does one more. Like, this is a perfect, if this is his last film,
it's perfect
because it's him definitely kind of, it's about, a lot of it is about his own childhood, and then the rest of it is kind of about probably him facing up to his mortality, you know. So it's a perfect final film if it ends up being a final film. But at the same time, I just want to see him do more. I hope he has one more at least. But it's just wonderful. It's fantastic. I won't say too much because, like I said, when they initially marketed it, all they were saying was, you know, Miyazaki's latest, and they weren't even talking a whole lot about the plot. I will just say it's just a kind of about a lot of it is stuff that happened in his own childhood. A lot of it is biographical, a lot of the events in it. So death of a mother, witnessing hospital burn down, moving to the countryside, his father being kind of involved in kind of industrial kind of factory stuff, just those kind of stories, and then stories he read as a child. And then the rest of it has to do with probably him thinking about his legacy and mortality, and it's beautiful. I loved it. Go see it.
Okay.
I would go see Poor Things and The Boy and the Heron back to back if you could.
Wow.
If you
really?
had that option. Yeah. Why not?
Do you mean just because they're good films to see, or is there theme?
Oh, there's
crossover?
definitely theme crossover for sure. Yeah.
Interesting.
For sure.
Okay, let me see. Can I do that? Let's see if the infrastructure around me is significant enough to allow that, or
I think it probably will.
Robust enough to allow that to happen.
You could probably do it in the lighthouse, I'd imagine.
The end we start from. Well, that's not out. Oh, it is out. Okay. The Boys in the Boat. What's that? George Clooney. There's things in the cinema I've never heard of.
Forget Clooney.
Poor Things, 2:00. Boy and the Heron, 5:35.
do it.
Dubbed.
I mean, the dub is fine. The dub is good. It was just I just the listing specifically said subtitled. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll get to see it subtitled first. And I was probably going to see it twice anyway. So, yeah, go see it.
Interesting. All right, let's see what I can do. Let's end it there, and let's see if I can get a movie double bill for my afternoon.
Awesome.